Okay, so this is the assailant mindset study of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Office of Partner Engagement. Now, I suggest you read this for yourself. It's publicly available. I highlighted the things. This is about the increase of crime caused by marijuana is what I've highlighted. There's other factors as well, like social media and things like that, but the same billionaire, banker, globalists that own the FBI also are behind social media inciting, Black Lives Matter riots and all the other shit. It was incited through social media. Social engineering, control the masses through the smartphones and the drugs and the porn. Yeah, that's literally happening. And the FBI is complicit in that. And so, anyway, I'm just going to read. Head injuries, post-traumatic stress. This is the assailants, as you can see right here. The assailants. The head injuries, post-traumatic stress, schizophrenia, and paranoia were cited anecdotally by individuals who knew the assailants. And in half of these cases, the assailant was also under the influence of methamphetamines, marijuana/THC, prescription drugs, and or alcohol. Over 60%, 30 out of 50 of these assailants had a history of drug use, with 32% confirmed to have been under the influence at the time of the incident. Yep, 46% of the assailants' toxicology was unknown at the time of the study. So if we look at George Floyd's toxicology report, again, etc., marijuana is clearly a gateway drug to harder drugs like methamphetamines, prescription, and, etc. Just going to scroll down here real quick. Expressed desire to kill law enforcement. They expressed this on social media. The assailants who killed law enforcement officers, Dallas, Texas, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, etc. Additionally, 10 of the 14 were under the influence of narcotics or had a history of drug use at the time of the incident. Yeah, that's marijuana. Make no mistake. Or marijuana plus other substances. Law enforcement officials noted an increase in the number of subjects using drugs, marijuana, and being in a drug-induced psychosis when contacted by the police. Many law enforcement personnel were seeing an escalation towards violence by those who abuse drugs. That's marijuana. A high percentage of assailants were under the influence of marijuana during these incidents or had a history of marijuana use. When they say drugs, marijuana, yeah. Officer interviews highlighted the assailant's skewed decision-making matrix when contacted with law enforcement while under the influence of a narcotic compounded with the thought of not wanting to return to custody. That narcotic? Marijuana. Make no mistake. All these guys were high when they murdered law enforcement officers or just tried to murder them and ended up beating them or, etc. Law enforcement officials across the country stated that justice reform acts, especially laws decriminalizing drugs, as in marijuana and CBD/hemp, and reducing penalties for narcotics offenses have the effects of releasing criminals at faster and higher rate than before. Assailants who experience this turnstile justice system know they are going to receive a lighter sentence than they would have in the past and will be released early if incarcerated at all. This may lead to a belief that by the assailant that consequences no longer exist for criminal acts, especially drug offenses. Due to both of these factors, upon release, assailants the history of drug offenses, as in marijuana offenses. Yeah, the ones Biden's trying to fucking wash away. We're more prone to be non-compliant while under the influence of marijuana. Non-compliant with officers because you're high on the weed. Yeah, I guarantee that happens millions of times a month now in the United States. In addition, police officers stated that an assailant who has entered into a drug-induced psychosis, marijuana, that causes desperation and paranoia is more willing to shoot an officer to stay out of jail. Multiple law enforcement officials believed that the assailant in their specific incident would not have used deadly force against the officer if the assailant was sober. Across the country, law enforcement officials link the decriminalization of drugs, marijuana, and CBD to the increase in violent attacks on law enforcement. That just blows my fucking mind. There's the conclusion. The recent criminal justice reform initiatives that reduce prosecutions and incarceration of criminals, specifically drug offenders, marijuana, which has the effect of putting criminals back on the street with an attitude of beating the system. Right, yeah. So this blows my mind because if you're telling me that the FBI knows very specifically of multiple, like 40 or more incidents that has solid evidence that marijuana is causing an increase in law enforcement officer murder, but they didn't arrest the politicians pushing legalizing marijuana, even though the policies these politicians are pushing are causing an increase of the murder of law enforcement officers. That means the FBI is the bitch of the globalists, the bankers, the money. And so even though the bankers, these globalists, the international banks, whatever, Freemasons, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, are pushing an agenda that is getting law enforcement officers killed, the FBI is still, oh yes sir, Mr. Banker, fuck my own officers here, I'm just going to go along with it. Because the FBI has known since, I guarantee, a lot longer than before 2016, but of public record, at least since 2016, officially stated, yes, decriminalization and legalization of CBD, marijuana, has led to an increase, not just in homicides, because there is an increase in homicides they talk about. Increase of homicides and homicide attempts of law enforcement officers. So they've known that, but they didn't stop it from happening. They didn't arrest the corrupt politicians, right? Who pushed the legalizing of, well, Trump pushed hemp, so fuck yeah, arrest that piece of shit. But Biden, etc. It doesn't matter who's in the presidency. The globalists that really run shit, the agenda will implement no matter what. I remember that with the Mormons. They put like $40,000 into fighting gay marriage in California, and it worked. The media campaign worked. Californians voted no to gay marriage, and the government just undid the vote or something and legalized gay marriage anyway. So this is the kind of shit that people should be up in arms about. Literally, getting violent, getting guns, stockpiling ammunition, and fucking doing something about it, because that's the kind of shit that's causing trans kids, murder of innocent people, rape of innocent people, rape of children, right? All by corrupt policies pushed by corrupt politicians that are the bitch of the corporations and the banks. They own the government, is my most likely interpretation of that data. Or, even worse, the government is doing it themselves. I bet everybody involved is just evil. The line blurs between corporate and government, right? Yeah. Anyway.